Yo guys, what's going on? Lucky G7 is back again to give you guys my live stream discussion slash review on Eden Zero chapter 292, the penultimate chapter of the series. And let me just preface by saying this. I really did not expect to have time to cover this chapter today. I really did not. Because, you know, if you followed me on Twitter or X, I specifically mentioned early on in the day that I don't think I'm going to find time today because I was going to be stuck helping out with family, with my grandparents. But there was a bit of a shift in the schedule for today, and I looked at my time right now, and I'm like, well, I do have a little bit of time to actually sit down and cover the chapter. So I thought, you know what? Let me just take advantage of what I have. Take advantage of the time and go ahead and just jump right into it because wow, like this chapter of Eden Zero, okay, for the penultimate chapter of the series, I'm still trying to process this. Okay, it's been a few hours since the chapter dropped, but let me just start from the beginning. Okay, so we have a cover page, and this is the actual like last part of the message. It's the letter U, right? So arigato, last part, and because you do have Clean, Jin, and Laguna, and for the most part, Jin, Laguna, and Clean, they were also members of the crew too. So I was like, I kind of felt bad thinking about last week's chapter. I'm like, man, they should be included in this, and I'm glad. I'm honestly so glad that they are a part of this because they deserve it. Chapter 292. Friendships never end. Yeah. Friendships never end. So we're on the planet Earth, okay? We see the luxurious planet that we live in. I think this is what, year 20, yeah, it's year 2025. So year 2025, everyone, bunch of randos, right? Civilians enjoying the beach life. Then you have Yuna. Yeah, I'm referring to her as Yuna because this is like Valkyrie pre, Earth going into overdrive mode. And you see what's happening. And then all of a sudden, okay, this whole thing's going down, and then you actually have like Valkyrie, like actual android Valkyrie, show up, and she's like Dr. Yuna, and then she turns around and she's like super shocked, like, what in the world is going on? And you have the same thing going on with Ivory, like she encounters her android, the Ivory we know and love, and she's like, wait, what's going on? I'm so confused. There's another me. I mean, to be fair, if I was in that situation too, and I just randomly come across myself as an android, I'd be a little concerned too. Like, wait, hold on, rewind the clock back. How does this happen? That's number one. Okay, that's number one. And Ivory just lays it out flat to her, her human counterpart. Some illness may be beyond your Earth's medical capacity, but I can cure anything. To which, no pun intended. Um, we do actually cut over to Witch encountering her human counterpart. And she's like, you're me from the future? And Witch says, to be more precise, I'm an android that was designed based on you from the future. And she's like, you can't expect me to believe that. And, she hands her over like a BQ. It's like, here, look at this. And you have a similar case here with Hermit, meeting up with Mio, her human counterpart. And she's like, this is your planet's future a few years from now. You do manage to get the planet into overdrive, but the human race still goes extinct. And Killa, his human counterpart, he's like, two Mios? Well, so what can we do to stop it? And Hermit says, we have technology that is more advanced than anything your planet science is capable of. All very cheeky, like she's like, yeah, we got this. We got this. I'm Don't worry. We got you covered. And you have a similar case here with Valkyrie. We have a device that normalizes ether. Not that I have any idea how it works, and her human counterparts, like such a thing exists, but once again, that's funny because now you have them both like exchanging out one another. Like, wait, why am I designed after a surfer? And if you're going to go there, why would an android be based on me turn into a sword fighter? Good question, right? Similar case here with Ivory. She's like, me? A sickie? Huh. And likewise, the human counterpart, like, me? A nun? Huh. Very similarly, Regret and Witch. And there you have it. With our technology, your planet can be saved. And of course, Regret ain't exactly buying it. Why would you do this for us? And Witch lays it out flat, like, because I was designed after you. And this planet, oh man, like I love this last part. Okay, is the Great Demon King's home, and Regret immediately is like, wait, Demon King? Is the future some kind of fantasy world? To which she thinks to herself like, well, how do I want to explain this? Which is where Leonard shows up, and he's like, Regret, and she's like, Leonard. And Witch immediately thinks she's like wizard, and she just tails off. She's like, "I'm gonna just go the other direction before this gets any more confusing." And he gets curious. He's like, "Who are you talking to?" And she's like, "Oh, I guess she's like leaving." But Witch does tell Regret one thing, and she's like, "I hope your baby's healthy and happy." To which, again, you see her being all not okay, inspired, awestruck. Same thing with Leonard. And then you get a few panels, right? Some time passes by. So after this exchange between the androids and their human counterparts, which was beautiful. Let me say that right now. This was honestly real beautiful, like chef's kiss and everything. Some time passes by, okay? A bit of time passes by. 16 years later, okay? 16 years pass by. And you have Yuna. Actually, let me go ahead and point this out. There's three of them I do remember. It's Yuna, Regret, and Neo, and I always forget on Ivory. Let me check what Ivory's human counterpart name is. This way, I at least get a general idea. But just to get a general idea, because it never hurts to like just make sure. I get the weird feeling it is Ivory, but let's see. Any aliases? I think it is just Ivory, right? Yeah. So I'm gonna just go with Ivory, just to be on the safe side. So Yuna points out that it's been 16 years, eh? Yeah, all thanks to those androids from the future. So as far as like Earth goes, like the current time frame of the planet Earth, they were able to stop Earth from going into self-destruct mode. That's one, okay? Because of the androids coming in to help out, number one, Earth is saved. So Earth never becomes mother. Plus point, right? Number two, in this Earth timeline that we're in, this new rendition, 16 years have passed. So keep that in mind. 16 years have passed. All thanks to those androids in the future. And you see Neo, she's a little bit older too now, running a laboratory. Our Ether Observation Center has really expanded. And then, of course, you got Ivory, who is now kind of like a nurse, if you will, just like treating like elderly patients. The Earth is now safe. And you find out Yuna's been talking to Regret. She's like, that reminds me, your son is going back to school today. And Regret says yes, he's starting high school. They grow up so fast. So we see Shiki, okay? We see Shiki just walking by, and we see a girl, okay, with a phone, no surprise there, with the stick handle, and it's Rebecca. So she like bumps into. So this Rebecca bumps into Shiki, and they both exchange one another. Like, best way I can describe this, okay? What was the one thing Xenolith said during the Foresta arc? You know, like you're captivated by gravity, and in this case, time, or like love, captivated between love and between time and gravity. So it goes to show you that Shiki and Rebecca, they're always destined to meet, no matter what. And it's a touching scene because you see Shiki and he's like, "Oh, sorry," and she's like, "No, no, no, it was my fault. You go to school here?" And Rebecca's like, "I actually just started today." Me too. So, to me, what this kind of confirms is that okay, Shiki and Rebecca, they're at least both 16. Because 16 years have passed, right? So obviously, same age, or if not, one's at least just slightly older than the other. But you get this. As soon as Shiki says "me too," we see this person off in the corner. She's like, "Oh, sister dear," and it's Pino, like human Pino. So Pino, for those of you that need a little refresher, she goes out in the last chapter. Okay, like she kind of shuts down, and it's like I performed my final duties, my final role, and it's time for me to say goodbye. And this is her as a human. And it's adorable. I'm not gonna lie, this is actually super adorable. You forgot your lunch. So little sis Pino runs over to big sis Becca. She's like, I came by to give you food. You left it at home. Like, this is sweet, okay? This is wholesome. Definition of wholesome in its finest. And Rebecca's like, thank you. Shiki notices. And Rebecca's like, let me introduce you. And he's like, Shiki, nice to meet you, Master. And he's like, Master? To which Rebecca says, she's been watching some weird cartoons lately. He starts to smile. Anyway, if you two are okay with it, will you be my friends? And they're going to East High School, which I think is actually it's an interesting detail, by the way. And here's the thing. Up until this point, everything's been super wholesome. It's been like we saved the day. And this man hero has the audacity to throw this last page in, okay? Because very ending of the last chapter, right? Pino's like shutting down and everything. The last page of this chapter. Master, good night. And it's Shiki breaking down, seeing that Pino's not moving in anything. And this final page wrecked me, okay? Like if I did this live stream reaction as soon as the chapter came out, I'm not gonna lie, I will be like super teary eyed right now. I will. Hell, like I'm gonna be honest here. Even though it's been like 4 hours now at this point since the chapter came out, I'm still getting like the feels right now. Like it's only Hero can pull something like this. Only Hero can pull off a feat of wholesomeness for like 99% of the chapter, and then the last page gonna hit you with some angst, some feels, like some deep, like somber feels to it. And what did this man once say in an interview about Eden Zero? Oh, it's not gonna have a super depressing ending like Gravemaster did. Boy, don't be lying to us. What is this here? Like, this is emotional shit. Oh, man. Shoot, I feel like I am about to break down now. God. Only Hero. Only Hiro Mashima can pull off a feat like this. Again, 99% of the chapter can be super lighthearted, feels good, so warm and happy and colorful and sunshine and rainbows, and then what does he do? He does this. And before anyone says, yo, this is new territory for Hero. No, 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 no. This is not new territory. Because your guy over here, Lucky Chi 7, has had experience with Hiro Mashima's work since Rave Master. This is the same kind of shit he pulled over there too, okay? And Rave Master had a lot of like gut punch moments. And this is no different. This is honestly no different to that. And what gets me even more about this final page, it's the penultimate chapter of the series. Second to last chapter. And I'm just like, wow. Like, again, I know some people are going to say, well, she can probably come back. With how Shiki's reacting, I think it can go either way. I really do. But, big highlight for the chapter, okay? Of course, seeing the androids interacting with their human counterparts. That was really cool. Saving the planet. Amazing. Earth doesn't become mother, no overdrive, nothing like that. They're able to stabilize the planet, which is great. Okay? Here's the thing, though. And it's something I didn't pick up on like the first time I initially read it. But notice this. Between when the androids run into their human counterparts, like I said, it's been 16 years, right? At least for the planet of Earth. The characters we know right now, Shiki and Rebecca, the ones we've been following since the beginning, they're probably, and I'm gonna bet you 100% this is what's going to happen next chapter. We're gonna see their side of the story, right? And what's gonna happen? You're gonna get the time skip designs, not just the 3 years in the future time skip. Okay, because I thought we were gonna go back to that, but now knowing that it's been 16 years later, we're gonna get one thing. I'm gonna be certain on is this: Shiki and Rebecca. They're not only gonna be a couple, they're gonna be married, and they're gonna have kids. I can bet you 100% we're gonna get that. At least in some part of the next chapter, we're gonna get that. And what else we get for the final chapter? I don't know. I'm really not too sure, and I like this factor actually that we don't know what we're gonna get next chapter. But again, because most of this chapter was relied on, the androids meeting their human counterparts and just getting their side of the story. Next chapter, we're getting like our cast, the cast we've been, following this entire time. And look, I'm not gonna lie, this is a beautiful chapter. It really was. Like, first read through when I thought about this, I'm like, it's a great chapter. Could have wished we saw some more stuff. But then I thought more and more about it, and I'm like, no, this chapter is amazing. It's an amazing plus chapter. Can I say pure perfection? I'm not gonna say pure perfection just yet because final chapter comes out next week. So depending on how the final chapter goes, it could very well change the rating of this chapter. It very well could, in a very positive way. And I will say this: as far as conclusions go to stories, okay, Rave Master, Fairy Tale, Hero has been on a ballpark as far as like ending off series go. Okay, Fairy Tale had a good, like the ending of Fairy Tale, regardless of how the final arc of Fairy Tale turned out. Okay, because I know a lot of people are super mixed about the final arc of Fairy Tale, with the first half of the final arc being, relatively decent, to the last half being kind of like, okay, like what are we kind of doing here? But the actual ending of Fairy Tale, like that last chapter, was like really spot on, in my personal opinion. And like I said, same thing with Rave Master. The Rave Master final chapter is classic. It's beautiful, enriching. And because this is something Hero has had planned since day one of Eden Zero, I'm gonna bet you 100% we're gonna get something special here. What that special is it a Hermit special? Maybe. But, oh man, like, I'm still, I'm in shocks that we're like this close now. This time, next week, final chapter, it's gonna be sad. It's gonna be really, really sad to see the series go, and because especially for me, let me just say this: I've been with the series since chapter one. Sure, I may not have jumped on the live stream discussions until like chapter 16 came out, but when the manga first dropped, I was with it since day one. This is, and I know I've always said I've followed Hiro Mashima since the Rave Master days, and I did. But this is the first Hiro Mashima series I've been keeping up with on a week to week basis from chapter one. So this one's, it's special in its own way too. And God, like, I'm not ready, guys. I'll just say that I'm not ready for the final chapter to come out because it's gonna be, there's gonna be a mix. I will say, mix between being sad, being happy, being like depressing. There's gonna be a good mix of emotions with the last chapter, and I know I said I'm not ready for it, but at the same time, I can't wait to see what Will Hero has in mind. I really can't. Do I have any gripes with the chapter? Before anybody asks, would it have been cool to seeing like what our crew's been up to? Yeah, it would have. But because of that last page, that little stinger we got at the end, I am 100% certain we're gonna get into that side of the story. And who knows? That could be something Rebecca covers. It could be. It could be like a narration from Rebecca of just explaining what's been going on her end of things. And there's a theory I've had too after reading this chapter. What if this next chapter is centered from the perspective of Shiki and Rebecca's kid? And I know what some people are going to think. You mean like on some Boruto-esque type of thing? No, not like that in particular. No, definitely not like that. It's possible, but I think most likely what we're going to get is either perspective from Shiki and Rebecca. And they're going to go through events of like what's been happening since, the events of the Eden's One War arc. What's like, the lives everyone is living. And yeah, like, I'm going to tell you this Ziggy, and I mentioned this last week too, I think Ziggy's gone. I'm going to just say that because Ziggy did say, look, Void, you and me, we don't belong to this time. We served our purpose. And I honestly thought this chapter we were going to get that. We were going to get the farewell for Ziggy. I thought that was what we were going to get. And I bet you Hero's going to tug at the heartstrings of that next week. 100%. He's going to tug at the heartstrings with Ziggy giving his farewell. Everyone's going to be crying and like mad tears. I'm going to be in the feels department too when it comes to that. Shiki, Rebecca, married, have kids, one or two. Boy or girl, or I don't know. I'm gonna say twins. Who knows? Who knows what this man Hero has been cooking behind the scenes since day one? Who freaking knows what Hero has been cooking since day one? But beautiful chapter nonetheless. Beautiful chapter. Amazing plus. And with that being said, you guys, that's pretty much all I had to say for this penultimate chapter of Eden Zero, chapter 292. Let me know what you guys' thoughts were on the chapter. What was your favorite part about it? Do you guys feel like we should have gotten more stuff with Shiki and his side of things, especially with how this chapter like ended up us off on. And how do you guys feel about the Shining Stars interacting with their human counterparts? And then, of course, this timeline's Shiki and Rebecca meeting up. How do y'all feel about that? But with that being said, you guys, that's pretty much it. I'm Lucky G7. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more Eden Zero content, Dead Rock content, Buried to 100 Years Quest that's a podcast content, because that is going to be coming too. And aside from that, guys, I'll see y'all next week for the final chapter. Peace.